Baby, we can always run. I don't need a home when I'm with you. We can do it one by one. Feeling like the start of something baby, we can always run. I don't need a home when I'm with you. We can do it one by one. Feeling like the start of something new.
Not too bad, not too bad. I'm excited to see another game of this AWL. The first game I did was very close knit with a 7-8, 8-7, and then a 7-8 again out of the three different matches. So overall, I'm looking forward to it. Yes.
I speaketh manyeth now. I should be speaking now. My apologies. My apologies. Well, I did say hello and welcome again into the season one, of course. Broken Mind here with me on the casting desk to start off the AWL. You already mentioned went over a few games yesterday or
This
previously as a
was,
general whole.
yes, in the previous last week it was that I had the 7 Raccoons in a coat versus the Esoteric Adepti. And it was very close, very heavily in the favor of just great entertainment, great gameplay, and the players just gave us good in good just content overall, and it made me just want to get back into competitive siege as we discussed afterwards. But I'm definitely looking forward to this one as it's now 7 Raccoons versus Rizard for this match for tonight.
Yeah, two teams that are absolutely insane with the members that they have on them. And we're expecting quite a fascinating set of games, of course, going through. It is a best of three, so we should see teams putting up some big numbers on all three of these maps, assuming that, of course, we get to all three of the maps, considering the rosters that we do have. Now, when we talk about these two teams, when we talk about what we've seen so far, Broken Mind, you have a bit more detail on them, but you saw their
Yes.
matches, you saw how they played. What are we kind of expecting coming from these two teams?
Well, coming from the 7 Raccoon side of things, you've got Barramundi throughout the Phoenix League in the past and other female or women and inclusive competitions she's been in. She's been a very dominant sort of player, just coming out, having great rounds, securing wins for her team just with her gameplay. But she's also backed up by Cass. Cass is one of those role players who will step up to that floor when she needs to be. She will take that next step to get her team over the line. And then you've got players like Simply Saw, L, and Psycho, who are great role players in their own rights. But then you look over at Rizard, you've got Docky, you've got Fluff. Both of these players, from what I saw in the match last night, made a name for themselves. They made sure that they were the names that were being spouted in wins for their team. But in saying that, Fluff is also the first console player that I have seen for the competitions that I've been in, and overall she's just done really well, securing a name, securing her position as a top fragger for her team. But then you've got the rest of the roster for tonight that's filling it out. You've got Gasai. She did her role of helping the team out, doing her job. You've now got Raiju and Cortari. Now, both of these players are known throughout the community and they do their job. They know what they have to do. They give the team that sort of lift in the end to be able to make sure they get over the line.
Well, before we jump into the match vetoes, let's quickly go back a little bit. As you were mentioning previously, we do have a few different match results to go across. Of course, 7 Raccoons in their first match, they were able to secure a close win, 6-8, basically going into OT on Nighthaven
Mm.
Labs. They lost, unfortunately, up against Historic Adapti on Chalet, 8-6, and then going into Border for their final map, they managed to win that 8-6 again. So it was a little bit back and forth with this opposition team. Considering what we saw from Rizard in the last matches, they versed Adapti on Nighthaven Labs and Clubhouse. Nighthaven Labs pretty much completely theirs. They were in the game from the get-go, as 0-7 kicking off the match as quickly as they possibly could, and going into Clubhouse, it was a very close 7-8, leading them to a 2-0 victory. Well deserved at the end of the day, but we started to see the movement and the adaptability coming back into that game, so it just brings so many questions. One team that we have so far has played exceptionally long matches. They're used to playing this long period of time, and they will adapt the team as long as the matches keep going. The other team pretty much gets out of the gate. They start off and immediately start kicking it through. Of course, Border as well was supposed to be the last match played, but didn't end up being played through. So in saying that, we've got some interesting maps coming up for this evening. And I wonder exactly what they're going to be, Broken.
Definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I love this map at the bottom of, like, literally at the bottom of my heart. It is Fortress making its appearance during this BO3, starting ourselves off on it. Look, and I said bottom of my heart, that means it's really not anywhere inside of Australia right now where I'm currently at. So in saying that, though, going over to the second set of maps, of course, we've got Chalet coming up as a secondary pick. That was picked up by 7 Raccoons. And the deciding map, after a few bans coming through, Consulate and of course Clubhouse being removed off the board, it does lead us over to Border. So once again, we're seeing that Border essentially just pop up at this stage and making its, or at least showing its weary head. Interestingly though, Rizard weren't the, well, they picked the first map, so they're not going to have the choice of which side they want to start on. Instead, 7 Raccoons decided to jump onto the defending side.
Freshest map that is in this competition and overall on Siege, and it'll be interesting to see what these teams do with a fresh map and how they're going to play it and what adapting they're going to have to do through the rounds. But overall, I feel this is going to be another great, entertaining match. You've got 2 teams that have very solid players, very solid, just overall statures in this community, but it's down to tonight. Are their clicks going to happen, or are they not going to happen?
Oh, this is the one match where we haven't seen a lot of differential plays from these 2 teams. We've seen small things here and there, but nothing as considerable as what we will be seeing inside of this match. We're going to be going over to Fortress very shortly, and let's get on the roll, Broken. I cannot wait to see what we end up going over to watch, what we end up going over to see with these 2 teams. It's going to be pretty incredible.
A ban sort of call. So what do you?
Well, considering the way that we have obviously seen a lot of the seasonal bans, I'm expecting we're going to see 2 hard breaches straight off the bat. That's a commonality so far within a lot of the competitive scene. So getting rid of at least 1 makes a lot of sense. The mirror, well, look, I can see it being an impactful ban, but as well, I think there are other more impactful operators to be banned off. I'm going to say Thermite on this second one, and most likely the Clash making an appearance into the ban wave. But then again, that may be a little bit different. Thermite is, Bandit is instead of the Clash.
That's a very interesting pick with the Bandit there, because you're now denying a lot of that hard breach denial, but you've still got your picks like your Tubrau, your Cade that is still on the board. Your Mute as well is another one that you can potentially use to deny a lot of these sort of breaching routes that teams like to take to be able to open up the site for them to do either their execution for a plant or an execution just to find a kill and give them a bit of an advantage on a 4-5, or depending on what the game state is, it can give you that advantage on trying to secure your plant.
Defenders, protect your bombs from
but
being defused
we
by
do see
attackers.
that the lineups for the first round is going to be quite an interesting one, as you've got Jackal, you've got Doc, you've got the new operator Snake on the board with Capital and the Thatcher finishing up that. But on the defensive side, you do have the Tubrau, the Mute, and the Cade. Attila is on! Charges. And your droning potential. Also, you've got Barramundi sitting on that Goyo. And that's one that I find is very lethal for teams that like to do a very execution sort of quickness in their playstyle, but you've also got Simply sitting on the Thorn to finish out those defenders.
A little bit concerned with the roster picks that have been decided by Rizard. Of course, it makes a lot of sense to have roaming operators in play, and it makes sense to have some sort of counter to those, but bringing two at the same time. The Dokkaebi, obviously intel gathering operator, and that can be accompanied in a lot of cases by a Grim, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the pickup. So a little bit confused by the Dokkaebi and the Jackal being brought out. Then again, with the amount of utility that's been provided and is available, it makes sense that they can kind of flex that operator and pick different areas. On the opposite side, it looks like a basic sort of lineup coming in from 7 Raccoons. They were ready for this essential setup and push. And let's quickly talk about Fortress for a second here. Of course, there's a few different sites: 2nd floor bedroom, 2nd floor command, 2nd floor dormitory, 2nd floor briefing, 1st floor kitchen, 1st floor caf, 1st floor hammam, and 1st floor sitting room. So a lot of different sites up and available for teams to use. But overall, when you look at the, I guess, competitive style and the competitive nature that this game's been, or this what am I saying? This map's been played in, it seems to be quite heavily defender-sided at this stage.
A bomb has been located.
Definitely, as we do see the first bit of breaching happening in by Gasai there, opening up a bit of the bomb site, trying to see if they can get some angles here. But we have the first contact coming from Barramundi on Kotari. That is your Jackal off the board with a roaming Goyo. That's the first pick that you have, but we do hear some shots going out. Doki finding L, getting a good down. And it's now, can they finish that kill? Can they secure the rest of this round for themselves with only a minute 20 left on the clock? As you've got good angles, but now you need to start making some execution, take some space, as we do see Fluff trying to do that for her team. But you've got Psycho pushing her off, making sure she can't do what she needs to for this team here. A lot of the calls going out, a lot of info here.
A little bit of shots going back and forth, and it's the Dokkaebi that picks up Barramundi. Big pickup on the side of Rizard, confirming at least one of the kills, giving that advantage back over to one side. Damage-wise, it is on the side of Rizard at this stage, but no real territory has been gained. A few players inside of Old Tower and moving through the external exit of Shisha, but there's still so many different sections to make a push on. I'm loving the phantom pressure being placed on the opposite side of the map, but L is still alive and still has the SMG-11, manages to pick off the Dokkaebi, making it a little bit easier, but that should be all of the utility taken out. 15 seconds remaining on the board. A bit of movement needing to be made at this stage. Psycho manages to find Fluff and Doki, leaving all down to one. It's Gassy against the world. But the answer's not there. Simply Saw manages to find the kill. And it's an immediate pickup. First round, big start from the side of 7 Raccoons.
Definitely, it was a good hold by the defense of 7 Raccoons. They looked confident, they looked stable. There was no real, as we were saying, the phantom pressure was coming from the Twitch of Fluff over on that pool side, but there was no other pressure coming from anywhere else. It was a lot of straight line trying to do their executes, and 7 Raccoons were just slowing them down, making sure that they had the confidence, they had the upper hand on the end of that round, and they did well and secured it for themselves, as we did see Psycho getting that double kill, making sure her team didn't have too many to deal with until the end of the game.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
Well, we move in to round number 2. And so far from what we've seen, 7 Raccoons appear to be a little bit slower in their playstyle, taking a more coordinated approach in terms of the way that they want to approach this. But now we go, I believe we're on the 2nd floor up towards Command Office, or Commander's Office as it is known, and of course bathroom as well. A few bits of rotation coming through there, but so far from what we've seen, 7 Raccoons, they slow down the play. They wait for the potential push to come in from the side of Rizard, and Rizard needing to find some sort of avenue in towards the side rather than spreading a lot of their members all over the map. But in saying that, moving into round number 2, that looks like a shield.
That definitely is a shield, as you have the Zero, the Gridlock this time coming around, but you've got your Blitz coming in. That's a very dangerous threat if you leave it to take a lot of space. The not deny is a bad choice in my opinion, but you've also got the overall pick of Capital. You got a lot of smokes, you've got a flame, you can take people out of very tight corners or just in very good defensive positions, and the Thatcher to finish it out just to deny a bit of those sort of anti-breach gadgets and other gadgets that you might need to go to. As we do see on the defensive side, you've got Tubrel, you've got Mute, but then you've got the Capcan. Now this is going to be a dangerous one for a shield operator like Blitz if it isn't found in time. That's going to be a lot of damage that might go out onto that shield, but then you've got the Cade and the Thorn to finish out the roster on the defenders here.
Well, immediate push inside a briefing room, trying to gain a little bit of that control upstairs, and it looks like they're going to be able to open that straight up. Of course, briefing room gives a potential access point straight into the bathroom side, but keep your eye on the nitro cells. A potential nitro cell going through the floor. It's ripped out, but won't find the kill. Just a little bit of damage onto the Capital, who will know that the rotation may need to be made just on the back foot, making sure that no one's pushing straight in and through. But how much access do we really have on this top side? Courtyard also being somewhat addressed by the Blitz at this stage, but any sort of movement could be a misstep. It's Ellie who makes the first misplay. Big kill coming straight in as Gas will find the counter pick off, making their move back to site. Psycho is really going psycho so far. 3 kills on the board for them. Saw makes their entrance as well. There is so many bits of pressure that is just being absolutely destroyed here. Diffuser is on the ground. It's all left to one. Gassy against the world once again. There's not much really to answer for here, and 7 Raccoons will pick it up.
Definitely another good hold by 7 Raccoons there. The push was being made on the other side for Rizards, but unfortunately it was a bit slowed, and they just couldn't secure that pinch play that they needed to get Psycho out of her spot. The flame arrow from the Capital did push them out, dealt a lot of damage, but it didn't complete the kill. Psycho, great spot, great position, held down that bomb site. They weren't able to push in. Overall, again, Rizard, they're just not finding the gaps that they need to be able to take the space that they want, to be able to get that execution plan down, and 7 Raccoons just looking confident.
Yeah, I mean, look, 7 Raccoons, they understand what they're doing on this map so far, but again, this is as far as we know, and there's obviously not been a lot of teams that have been able to play this for a considerable amount, so we can't really say that 100% it's locked down. It's locked in sort of situation, but for their side, of course, they've got the ability to gain as many rounds as possible. And I mean, for Rizard, this is their map pick. This is what they chose to start this game off with, in a 0-2 situation, picking straight off the board. Look, it's a great start. It really is quite incredible to see how they're going. But what I'm finding extremely surprising here is you've got a Valkyrie, that's cams, that's information. And how many nitro cells? I count not 1, not 2, not 3. Let's add a 4th. It's going to be absolutely scary.
Yes, you can call it almost an explosive round. This one might be happening with the amount of C4s that are on here. But the overall on the other side, you do have the Snake being secured and selected here, as we do see a quick push coming in by Fluff. And the Snake operator, as Ash is there to back him up on the docky. Riddler from Raiju, and then you've got Kasai sitting on that Capital once again with Kotari going on the fuse now and taking an upstairs approach, trying to get some pressure on the top floor. And really deniable this, but we got a good flank coming out from the Valkyrie of Barramundi here. Might be able to find 2 off, as Docky is taken down by Barramundi, but nothing comes back. Raiju finding the kill back onto Barramundi. It's now a 4-4, but that is your Ash off the board. But it's only a Valkyrie off the board, and that's still your cams up and running there.
Yeah, utility-wise, that's a lot of problems for Rizard, and exactly what 7 Raccoons would be looking for. Of course, the cameras that have been placed around the map from the Valkyrie are extremely useful and can remain even after Valkyrie's death. But on the opposite side, it's Doki who's taken off the board. The Ash, the absolute vertical and soft breaching operator, taken off quite early is going to put a bit of a thorn in the side for Rizard at this stage. 3 nitro cells still up and remaining as they get control upstairs, but it's Cass to answer right back. And immediately is going to slow down the play. Tubarau playing with that good old SMG. Love to see it in play. The MP, I believe it's the MP7. I may be wrong. MP9,
Yeah.
MP7, one of the two.
MP5X.
MP5X, there you go. But for now, Fluff on the opposite side. Just waiting to see if they can potentially make a move as that spread will come through. It will force... No, it won't.
Hostiles approaching.
Definitely, as we do see this execution starting to come out by Rizard here. They're getting the plant down finally for the first round. It looks like Fluff is going to be able to hold off and cover a lot of this execution. As the 7 Raccoons, they felt comfortable enough to be able to give it up, but now it has come back to them. Let's see how the execute comes down as Fluff going to use what new gadgets the Snake brings in, getting extra grenade as Kotari finds the death of Psycho there. And this is coming down to where Simply Saw. She's going to have to find a swing on here, but you've got a Gasai swing. This is a good pinch hold, as you've now got Cast going to go for the defuse, but L covering the team of Rizard here. Finds the kill, finds the second one, and secures their first win, as it's now a 1-2 to 7 Raccoons.
Well, a beautiful plant coming in from Rizard. Full cover, full availability, and just exactly what we wanted to see coming in from them, getting that control nice and early. But now the bans start to be introduced. Exactly who we're going to see here kind of comes down to who has been the most oppressive within the rounds. It has been the Habana in play, and that means a lot of the hard breach is going to be taken off for the side of Rizard, and only the Kaid really being taken off for the side of 7 Raccoons. Bandit and Kaid both being taken off. That means Mute is still up and available, and obviously can be brought in to the fold. Now, looking at lineups as a general whole, everything that we've seen is pretty indicative of how these teams have been going. Rizard bringing a better lineup within the last 2 rounds prior to that loss at this stage, and
Attackers need to locate
in the
and
last
defuse
round,
as many
and
bombs
7
as they can.
Raccoons bringing somewhat of a better position at this stage. On the opposite end, though, it just feels like there's something missing. For now, though, we're seeing Rizard. I'm liking this lineup choice.
Definitely, as we do see the Grim being picked out this time with the Nomad and the Snake being switched over to a Buck now. And then you've got the Gasai loving that Capitao. It worked out really well for them with the smokes and the flames to push out players from crucial spots. And you've got Docky back on that
10
Ash,
seconds left
as we
before
do now
insertion.
see a switch to the Striker and Gridlock instead.
5
But
seconds
on the
to go.
defensive side, you've got that Malusi, a very good gadget operator, slows down a lot of the pushes, slows down those executes, and it creates a lot of pressure on the teams, because as soon as you touch it, you feel like you're going to be swung no matter which way you go. And then you've got the Mute, again, the cap can coming out, and then you've got Barramundi on the Fenrir for the first time for this match, and then Thorn for Simply there, as Thorn has been a thorn in the side for Rizard here on some of their pushes.
Well, just comparing the way that we've seen these teams play so far, no major adjustments really been made by the 2 teams. Of course, losing a few operators through the ban phase makes it a little bit difficult to make a mass impact, but on the opposite side of 7 Raccoons, they're still looking extremely confident in their playstyles. Yes, Wizard were able to get control, but that control was on the tertiary side. It wasn't really positioned towards the primary, so a little bit easier in terms of site control when you come back upstairs once again. And for the rest of 7 Raccoons, well, I mean, they can just sit and wait. Wizard needs to be taking a lot more territory than they are now.
Definitely, as we do see the
Attackers
2
have dropped
early
the bomb
breaches
diffuser.
coming in for those main walls, but no pressure was applied, no space taken, as we do see a lot of that site was left freely until now. But we have the close call with Cortari here, trying to face off with L. That is a Mute with a shotgun. You never want to swing into that unless you trust to be able to click the heads. But you've got the backup of Psycho and Simply Sword in that now very, very tight-knit hold coming out by 7 Raccoons, but a very spread, very very threatening push coming here by Rizard. As soon as they find that first kill, it may come down to a quick execution here as Fluff. She's trying to find a spot with that new striker operator switch from our old Rook. Are they going to find this kill here? As we do see the Barramundi trying to hold off two here of Docky and Fluff.
El Courtyard Corridor will be where the first kills begin to come through, or should I say bathroom, as one player is going to be caught out. It is Cass that does get taken off the board, and a little bit of back and forth positioning as a nade goes through. Fluff the Cowgirl manages to get a kill onto Barramundi, leaving two players on the side of 7 Raccoons, but that is a shotgun, and that is a powerful weapon. Ryu manages to find a kill on the opposite end, but Rizard answers right back, and now we're starting to see comfortability. Now we're starting to see teams that get into the match. They're feeling a little bit better about the way that they're approaching this, and they're starting to tweak the way that they approach and play inside of these sites. On the upstairs control, once again, we're going back to bathroom and commander office. It's all about figuring out how best to lock down these top floor sites. And at this stage, I mean, look, you know that you've lost tertiary site. You know that this other site is a bit of a problem. You've been able to win this site. So I like the decision here. It's a good idea from the IGL to make the call. Let's go back to the site that we know we can win.
Attackers
again,
need to
though,
locate and defuse
Rizard,
as many
they
bombs as
gained
they
the
can.
control in the bathroom, and it looked like it was just easy enough to walk through courtyard straight in towards the site.
Definitely, as that was the execution kill as you needed to have happen. As soon as you get that one person off the board, you feel comfortable enough to start being a bit more aggressive on your swings, on your sort of pressure that you're putting down. You can now walk in, really take the space that you need to, as we did see Fluff taking that space, finding another kill. Then you've got another kill coming out from the opposite side again, which is really dwindling the defenders down. Even then, you still had some pretty good picks by L and
5
Simply,
seconds
but they
remaining.
couldn't quite win it for their team. As it is now back over to
Attackers must
this
locate and
command
defuse a
bathroom
bomb.
site, I believe it is. And it's looking like an interesting hold, as you now have a few new operators.
Well, once again, a few bits and pieces changed around, and this is looking very much like a bank setup from the side of 7 Raccoons that control downstairs, and with the operators that, well, a lot of people talk about them being meta, especially when you consider the Aruni and the Azami coming onto the board. It makes a lot of sense. In terms of the playstyles that we have been seeing, 7 Raccoons deciding to still go with a bit of lonesome pressure, taking their time before they're putting a bit of exposure onto the map, or even pushing in certain areas. But as a general whole, from the side of Rizard, they're just taking it slow. They're taking their time. I wonder whether or not after this round, if 7 Raccoons manage to have some sort of struggle within the round, whether or not they just decide, all right, that's it, we're going to give it our all. We're going to go full aggression. As soon as we find the location of one, we'll find an early kill, we'll find an early pick, move players all over that position, and if it's bomb, hey, even better for us.
Definitely, as we do see a bit of contact about to be had by both the Barramundi and Cass. Raju finding the kill onto Cass there. Barramundi getting the kill back on Raju. That is your gridlock off the board. I don't know how many of the spike traps were used to watch those flanks, but not enough it seems, as a good flank coming out on Kortari there. That is another down. You've got a grenade coming out. Fluff is trying to find this kill. Does find the kill onto L. That is one down. Doki finding another kill. It's now a 2v3 situation. You've lost a lot in your push, being with the Qatari on that very threatening sort of operator, but you've still got Psycho and Barramundi, both good players in their own right, and that Echo drone coming to fruition for this team if the plant goes down.
A little bit of movement coming in. Remember, there is still an Echo in play. No idea how many drones still up and available for now, but on the opposite end, Barramundi making a bit of a move forward. A little bit of damage being dealt onto both sides. Plant opportunity is available. Keep your eye on that echo pick as the timer starts to tick down. Psycho should be able to hear it from up above. Will stop the first initial plant. Has the ability to stop it again. Needs to send in this second drone if they're going to get that plant through. And they will successfully be able to do so. Wide swinging peak from Doki manages to find it out. And it just looks like slight misplays being made on both ends seem to be the cause of what is happening to Rizard right now. They are finding direct kills. They are finding the openers that they need. And 7 Raccoons not really providing an answer in the last few rounds.
Definitely not. As Rizard, they've looked like they've gotten their Rizard rhythm, you might say, getting their spell casting out to allow them to have better clicks onto heads throughout the last 3 rounds has done really well for them. And 7 Raccoons, they looked comfortable, but now having lost that Cade, having lost that potential threat of denying a lot of the breaches has really thrown them out of whack. It's
Attackers
put a
need to
lot more
locate
pressure
and
than
defuse
what
bombs.
they thought. With Rizard, they're looking comfortable being able to use those hard breach charges to open up the angles, open up the little bit of pushes that they need to do, and then 7 Raccoons, they're not counterplaying, they're not adapting to the situations as best as they can, and a few misplays, as you said, have led to deaths on their side, but overall Rizard is looking comfortable, they're looking in their comfort zone and their rhythm.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
Yeah, I mean, look, it is their map pick. This is what we expect from them. They were on the books as a general whole. A very compatible team. Let's say that. They were very compatible. Mechanically, on the opposite side, we are expecting a little bit more coming in from 7 Raccoons. We're expecting them to be pushing out there, finding kills, making it very simple, very easy to lock it all down. However, on the side of Rizard, it just feels like everything they're doing has been correct so far. Very little mistakes on their end, and the only mistakes that we've really seen on their side have been just minor misplays, minor players pushing out of position. On the side of 7 Raccoons, I mean, a great one, unfortunately, was that nade onto L in the last round. Shouldn't have been able to kill someone there, but I mean, that's exactly what the nades are for. They are damage and movement materials that cause a bit of offensive harm within the game. Barramundi once again going on to this flanking section. And from what we've seen, she is able to find kills, but we'll need to find 2 more within this round to really make the impact that we've been seeing from her.
Definitely, as it looked like there was a bit more of aggressive expansion by 7 Raccoons here, and we'll see how it works out against Rizard, who have taken a lot of space to really secure these kills. As we do see Barramundi being found out by very clutch drone in there. You've still got a whole 5-on-5 here with a minute 30 left. This is where it comes down to that information, down to the swings, down to your clicks on to heads and other such. But we do see a lot of damage coming out by Barramundi there onto Fluff. That is a great kill by Barramundi there. But you've got Kasai finding a kill back onto 2 players as Ellen and Psycho go down. And Kotari finding another one onto Cass. This is down to Barramundi and Saw. Barramundi is still downstairs unless they've made that flank back upstairs to help support her teammate on to the side here. But looks like there might be another bit of contact coming out as we do see another one by Barramundi finding Raiju here with a minute left in the round.
60 seconds on the board. Overextensions causing a lot of members to get hurt, but Barramundi is still up and high and mighty. Diffuser is going to be dropped down. That is control of sight given over to Katari. So a decent chunk of territory opened up. Yuki still has that diffuser, but no way into the side. The peak will come through. Katari manages to find the kill on the Barramundi. And it's a 4-5 half going into the secondary set. A beautiful set of rounds coming in from Rizard, winning 4 in a row.
Definitely, that's a very good job to do on the attacking side, especially on a map like this new fortress. It's a lot more enclosed, a lot more angles to take on certain flanks, as we did see by Barramundi there, but unfortunately just couldn't secure enough kills to win the round in a 2v1 with a few seconds left on the clock. But as we said, it's now rotating over to Rizard's defending side, as the Bandit and the Thermite are the first 2 to go off the board. Now, the next two, I'm wondering if the mirror is going to still be in play or if it's going to come off the board at this time. And it looks like it's going to stay.
Look, the mirror being there isn't that much of a threat as I think people perceive it. There are so many options, so many ways to get rid of it, just with your kind of operator choices as a general whole. I mean, you've got Ash, you've got Ying, you've got so many different people that can just easily take the mirror out as a general whole. And look, I mean, the impact that it really has within a round. Yes, it can be big when used correctly, but to use it correctly without any changes
Defenders,
or
protect your
problems that
bombs
come
from
onto
being
the board,
defused by attackers.
it's just very, very difficult. It's very, very difficult for any team at this stage. In saying that, however, we're going back upstairs once again inside of Games Room and Dormitory to kick off round number 7. Looking at the setups that we're currently seeing, looking at the operators that we're currently seeing, it does suggest to me that the lineup from Rizard is a bit more structured. They know exactly who they need to pick in terms of countering a lot of operators that they would expect to see coming on the attacking side. And I'm very much looking forward to this round.
Definitely, as we do see a bit of a different lineup to the 7 Raccoons from Rizard here, as you've now got the Echo being used on the first round, you've got the Azami, you've got the Wamai being used, Mute, and of course that Mirror, and it's on the board and you want to use it, you've got to use it, there's no use letting it lie around, but you've got on the attacking side, you now have the Thatcher, the Twitch, the Ying as you called, and the Habana. Looks like a bit of a double breach here coming in with the hard breach device and the X-Kairos from Barramundi here. You've got a mirror set up ready, waiting for a good threat of pressure, but simply is also on that striker. That's some more util that you've got coming out with the nades and the hard breach devices. It's going to be a very interesting push to come in as we do see Elf trying to find a good Twitch drone spot to get these mirror cams or these mirrors out of the way so that they can get a kill or two on this, but the first Twitch drone has been found.
Well, immediately identification is going to be made outside, and it's a bit of a problem. As I was talking about it, welcome to Twitch into the round. Hello, L. Nice work. That is one of the mirror charges taken off the board, and I'm assuming a lot more utility also being used in that case. On the opposite side, 2 nitro cells up and available, but look at how many impact nades. Beautiful shot coming in there. That's going to be the Thatcher taken off the board. Not too much of a problem or an issue in that regard, however. Thatcher already being able to open up a lot of the sight in towards Shisha and allowing potentially a direct push straight in as Fluff will be able to find a kill on a Psycho. So answers to the questions that are being placed by 7 Raccoons as that timer begins to tick down. But it doesn't really matter. L managed to find their way in towards the site. It is a counter kill, a team kill from their own side. But all the information is going to be there. This plant can't go down, surely. Oh!
It looks like that last Echo drone or the Yokai drone was destroyed before you could get that Echo location beam out, but we do see Simply Saw, Barramundi and L all holding off, but you got 2 players very low. Kotari sitting on a lot of health here, has to try and find 2 kills and then hold off the third one as she does have a few impacts to try and bait it to rotate out. Leg coming in, doesn't quite find the kill, does down L now. That is 1 kill out of 3. You've still got 2 more to go through here. And one of them is Barramundi, one of the high-scoring players of this game, and simply holding a beautiful angle, finding the kill onto Qatari to win the round for 7 Raccoons there.
That was pretty funny from L, I'll be honest. Let me just go prone and show my little footsies out there.
Yes.
And unfortunately, you can shoot footsies to knock down a player. By shooting the foot, you manage to potentially knock off that person's leg. So it makes a lot of sense that L unfortunately will go down. In saying that though, that is a big loss within the first round for the side of Rizard. And it looks like the same sort of concept that I was bringing up from the side of 7 Raccoons. They just feel confident. There's something about them when they're going on the aggressive
Defenders,
nature, when
protect your
they're
bombs from being
really
defused by
pushing,
attackers.
that is so captivating and so fascinating from their side. Unfortunately for Rizard, there wasn't really a direct answer back, and it's the same sort of lineup coming through once again. Major differences, of course, Vigil and Mozzie making their entrances into the round. But again, this seems like a very aggressive setup. You've got shotguns to open up a few of the holes, footholes, as many people call it, and a few rotations up and available as well with the mirror in play. But continuous use of these operators just means that their target ban.
Definitely. As we do see a bit more of a better setup for the protection of Doki's mirrors here, as we do see Kotori now onto that Mozzie operator pick and placing the drones on those drone holes, denying a lot of the sneaky route that L did come through last time to protect these mirrors is what they needed to do. And you've still got a threat of potentially the Xcaros. If you save a few, you can take a lot of these mirrors off the board, even denying a lot of that pressure coming out from them. But you've now got Gasai sitting on there. A lot of the drone denial can come from her herself as well. If you're trying to drone the mirror and you find the vigils on there, you're not going to be able to see the vigil from behind, but you do see the early pressure coming out. An impact nade is the first thing used, denying a lot more of the Xcaros used. L trying to sneak a Twitch drone in. Go through 2 layers to get to that mirror.
But a little bit of pressure being placed onto the Shisha wall at this stage. No problems, no movements really being placed on any other side of the map. This is a big thing with Rainbow Six Siege and setups. Unless you're going for a direct push, unless you're going for a direct play straight in towards the site, you need to have players positioned on other sides of the map. That phantom pressure that is placed on teams causes so many problems for their movement. They're too scared to really move around, and that allows you to get into positions where you can find angles on these players and find potential kills. In saying that though, 7 Raccoons not looking to put that phantom pressure up on the map until a bit later within the round. The information is going to be there on drone usage. It all comes down to what Cass can do with that Thatcher. A minute remaining on the board, and truly not much territory gained.
Definitely not, as Kotari, she's still placing a lot of that pressure over there, but Cass, she's looking for a bit of a swing. But with the first kill comes out by Fluff, finding Psycho here. You've got the next fight happening. Fluff, she's in a very tight spot in the corner of the bomb side, but Baron Money taking damage from what looks like Raiju, as they have damage drop from the old tower hold. But the 1 discs finding the flashes, denying their pressure that can be applied. Baron Money being downed by that kill of Raiju. A kill, double kill coming back by Simply here. Fluff finding a kill back on L. It's now pushing up. The aggression is becoming a bit harder. Simply, she's put in a good position. Finds a third one onto Doki. This is a triple kill coming out. Is she going to find a quadra? Doesn't notice the player in the corner, but the player is still there in the corner. Fluff finds a, I believe that is close to an ace there. Oh my, what a hole.
Close to, but it came down to the wire. Without Fluff, the side of Rizard would have been on the back foot quite quickly. Round number 9 coming onto the board as we go back upstairs once again. 2nd floor bathroom, 2nd floor commander's office is going to be the site of call. Considering the way that we saw 7 Raccoons there, it seems like they just need to get a little bit more aggressive. No more slow plays, no more taking the time around to give them options. Let's just go for a direct push straight in towards the site and see what we can do. However, that phantom pressure only coming in at the end of the round. A little bit problematic for the side of 7 As by that time, a lot of the players have kind of pushed back directly to where that player was moving into, costing Cass to lose her life on the opposite side of the Rizard. I mean, it's just big numbers, right? 2 double digits up on the board. Fluff and Saw. Well, I mean, what else can you say? They've got the control that we needed so far. 7 Raccoons need to find some sort of answer to stay in this game.
Definitely, Fluff holding that corner very well, really provided the comfort for her team to just gain an upper hand on the other sides of the map, really denying a lot of that stuff, as we did see from Cass. Wasn't able to give the pressure that she needed for her team to secure something, but it might be a bit easier for the team of 7 Raccoons here, as there is now an IQ of 0, and we've got a very interesting pick on the sense. That is a lot of potential of getting a wall up, really creating a lot of angles for your team to push in to get a good plant in. It's down to how you play it. As we do see Kotari gonna go for that roam that she does love doing every time she's on a roam. She is a very dangerous Viper, you could almost say, as she strikes when she needs to find a good kill.
A little bit of movement being made on that bottom floor, bit of movement being made on the top floor as well. Look at the pressure that's being placed. Psycho's decided to get a little bit aggressive, and that may end up costing quite a few players their lives if they're not ready for that movement. Again, aggressive and aggressive. That is the name of the game. When we do it correctly, that looks like we're starting to see that open aired into Commander's office, as unfortunately Barramundi decides to go from underneath, gets caught out straight off the bat. Atari with a beautiful starting kill.
And we do see Barramundi asking, why are you in a corner? And the corner works out in a good swing there. Barramundi did not know where the shots were coming from. Did a full 180 to see if they were coming from the other side, but it was right in front of her. It was in the corner behind those dressing walls, as the rest of this push is going to have to come down, as you do not have a twitch. You can use the sends. You got to get your walls up to be able to get this push in for the execution on the plant here. The zero cams will be very useful to get the info you need, and a lot of that is Cass. She's still trying to find these pincer angles, trying to find a kill. Does deal a little bit of damage on to Gasai here, trying to bait out a potential swing as a nade comes in. While my disc picks it up, denies its use.
Control of upstairs comes down to the 6th defender on the side of Rizard. The timer slowly ticking down. A little bit of damage being dealt by Cass as double peaks begin to come through, but there's no reason to get too aggressive on the point. Cass finds one. Beautiful shot coming straight in. L able to find one as well. These are trades going back and forth. What a human and murderous intent is going on by both of these two teams. It's Doki against 3. We'll have to continue the round after that. It's a beautiful nitro cell. The diffuser will go down. They need to get this plant happening, but it's one player spotted. Doki misses the shots, and Saw manages to win the round with 7 Raccoons. But what a close round it was.
Definitely that one kill on Simply Saw would have secured a win for Rizards, but unfortunately, as it happens, you're either aiming on or you're not aiming at all, and unfortunately the time came where RNG was not with the Rizards there, and Simply Saw getting off in time to be able to find the kill. But the next bands coming out is that Mirror and the Habana now, allowing Rizards a bit more comfortability on knowing that they're not going to have to defend a Habanix Cairo hole coming out here, but you've still got a lot of other util, as we were seeing on their attacks with those hard breach, or the can openers as they are formerly known by the rest of the community. And it's just unfortunate for the Rizzers there that came so close and yet so far.
Full lockdown, full control is the name of the game, and it looked like for the most part that was on the side of Rizard, but going into that second round, I mean, Raccoons starting to find a bit of momentum here. Early kill coming through thanks to the help of Katari. Side for 7 Raccoons. They can't sit back beautifully. Kill after kill coming on board, and now I'm starting to see an operator that I'm really liking in the fold. But I'm a little bit concerned. There is 3 operators coming into the fold. All of them are roam presence. All of them are intel gathering. And basically the entire team from 7 Raccoons is looking to just be directly onto the intel. The only real operator that I'm liking at this stage on this lineup is the Deimos.
Yes, Deimos is very lethal with being able to track that one operator, which has been the Ella on the defending side. Unfortunately, they weren't able to scan a lot more than that. Even then, you know where the Ella's going to be sitting. You've got the Lion, you've got your Dogby, you've got your very impactful Jackal here. You know where the Roman's going to be, and you know that they are going to be doing their job very lethally. As you've got Qatari on that Roam with the Vigil, but you've got a lot of the, not so much sight pressure, as I didn't see many hard breach devices being placed onto the attackers here to really give them angles onto the site, but you've got a pressure in the horse and cannon hallways here, making sure that you can take a bit of a comfort push, as Vigil has been targeted by the Deimos here.
Big brothers incoming.
Well, the Deimos can begin to look around. Vigil, unfortunately, still on that tracking path, and will start using it the longer that this round goes on. But the information should be there. Deimos should know whereabouts this player is occupying, and as well as that, you've got a little bit of an answer back. The cannon is going to be completely taken over on that opposite side. The Psycho manages to find, well, doesn't find a direct kill. Take it back. Manages to find a direct kill inside of that museum hallway. Unfortunately, the Deimos will be taken down as a result. The castle taken down on the other side. Not a big loss for them. We'll be able to find one, make it 2. That leaves 2 players remaining on the opposite side. It is once again L going down. Barramundi all by themselves in a 1v4. It's going to be ended early. Fluff is absolutely frying at this stage. And it's exactly what we want to see from Rizard. They go to match point. And this is where things start to get a little bit hairy for 7 Raccoons.
Definitely Fluff showing that she is going to be giving a good name for herself, getting a triple there, securing the round for her team, especially on that SMG-12 as well. That's a lethal weapon in the right hands. But again, Qatari, she created that roam potential, used the Deimos against itself, and said, no, I'm actually on site now. I'm not out on a roam. You don't know where I am. And unfortunately, simply just was in the bad position, and Fluff was right down on the crosshairs for her.
Attackers need to locate and defuse
It's
bombs.
just good play. Well protected in a sense. Fusion for the 7 Raccoons on how to push these defenses that Rizards are putting up.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, it's kind of feeling like both Rizard and 7 Raccoons going up against each other. It's slightly feeling uncomfortable. Few players on the board seem to be like, look, I can play here when necessary, but it just doesn't feel like they're really too comfortable playing this map as a general whole. That's the same for most teams, unless they've been spending it 24/7. It just feels like this map doesn't really seem to provide that comfortable nature that we've seen on maps like Chalet, maps like Clubhouse, maps like Bank nowadays, especially considering how often that's played. This map just feels like it's causing a few issues, and both teams, I mean, they're putting up big numbers, they're putting up big results in terms of their plays, in terms of their play style, but there's just something about it that isn't really clicking for 7 Raccoons, and is even in terms of Rizard's ability to get it into match point. It feels like there's still a few things that really aren't clicking for them either.
Definitely, as we do see the Ram being brought out for 7 Raccoons here to try and help breach a lot of these soft walls from a safe distance. But you've still got the Sledge. You've now got the Maverick being played here. Very lethal roam coming out by Raju here with that DMR on the Tubarao. And you've got Qatari sitting in a very lethal position with the Aruni DMR. It's going to come down to, are they going to have a good flank watch to be able to deny this potential flank coming up, as Cass, she's droning herself in, doesn't quite have as much help or support from her team, but is confident enough to be able to take a flank. And it looks like a lot of this execution is going to come down to it, I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we do see a bit of movement at this stage from the side of 7 Raccoons. They've been able to get a little bit up there, but there's Qatari once again on the roam presence. Manages to just pick up an early kill. Great start from them. I may mention this as well. This is primary site up and available. Once again, manages to just get out as a result. Barramundi dropping a little bit of damage. I shouldn't say a little bit. It is an entire player that's been dropped onto the ground. Gassy needs to get picked back up as soon as possible, but with this timer slowly ticking. 55 seconds left on the board. A bit of movement needing to be made in towards the site control. Drones will provide a little bit of intelligence, but on the opposite side is quite a bit of utility for 7 Raccoons that they can potentially use to open up a bit more into this site. Doesn't look like they're going to be using that option at this stage with the way the site's set up. Fox manages to find one, but it's a counter pick coming in from Saw. Flashbang goes far. Qatari spots one on the cross. Not able to confirm the kill just at this stage, but with 20 seconds on the board, it's Barramundi to find the equalizer. Ali finds one as well. This match is not over though, because Doki gets dropped, or Doki drops Psycho, who had Diffuser. Qatari just needs to run away, and I think she will do exactly that. 3 seconds left on the board. Diffuser not picked up. Time out. As Rizard manages to win Fortress.
Def. Oh. What can we say about that game? It was a very close one, as 7 Raccoons, they did look very confident in the first 2 rounds, but then Rizards, they started turning it around. They got those 4 wins on their attacking, and then their defense, they just looked comfortable. But at times, 7 Raccoons, they looked that way back. They came back to win another 2 rounds, but unfortunately, Rizards had the bomb downed. And unfortunately, you can't get a defuser down in a one-on-one situation because you have the pressure of that player just running up on you. And it's not a safe spot.
Unfortunately not. But look, overall, that was Rizard's game to win. Everything that they did, every position that they were playing off was done almost perfectly. The pressure that was really provided on the map from 7 Raccoons wasn't there as much. And I talked about it being somewhat uncomfortable. I've talked about teams having a bit of trouble when it comes to these new maps. That's why in often cases teams pick it, because it starts to become a lot more angle driven, more mechanically gifted in terms of their playstyle. But of course, it does come down to the way that teams end up playing at the end of the day. And in this case, Rizard, they were just a better team at the beginning and at the end. Well, I shouldn't say at the beginning, but at the beginning of their half and at the end.
Definitely. But I feel like the end of that one, it was a good match, but I feel like a bit of break is needed for that very close match coming in, as I feel like an intermission should be coming up very soon.
Yeah, look, when we come back, we'll be going into map number 2, over to Chalet. the AWL Season 1. We've had a very amazing match 1 over on Fortress. But anyway, moving straight into it, it is awesome to see the two competitive teams going up against each other. Rizard obviously putting up a decent chunk of numbers, a 7-4 or 7-5. I think I've lost it all of a sudden. I don't remember Fortress, and I try not to in the best of regards. But you know how it is. It was a good match in both regards. Just a bit more coordination on the side of Rizard compared to what we saw from 7 Raccoons. And going into the second match, I mean, we're looking at Chalet. What do you think Broken Mind could be on the up and up here?
Well, as you were stating, that Rizard looked the more impactful one, but I'm seeing a bit more of a comfort zone coming for Raccoons on this one. It's one that you've seen a lot throughout the whole competitive community. It's one that's very comfortable. It's very fluid for players. They know how to play it. They know what they're looking for, and it's not so much of a, oh, what is this corner going to have? What's this corner going to have? It's now one of those ones of, I know they're going to be sitting here. I know they're going to be sitting there. I've just got to have my aim ready on those heads. But it's also down to these map bans. As we saw in the last one, all 3 hard breaches were gone. The 2 anti-breaches were gone. As the first one comes out, it's now the Mirror and Ace. Is it going to be a recurring thing on to this map is another thought process as well.
Well, we're going over to France, and now we start to show a little bit of differential treatment. This is a map that teams love to play and that they've been playing on considerably. Let's talk about sites quickly before we go into the bans that have just gone through. Of course, you've got your primary site. That's master bedroom and office on that top stairs, top floor control. Going into the second is your games and bar. That is a common site that a lot of people like to play on and is one of, if not the most competitive site. Of course, you've got your middle floor as well, that kitchen side, and technically the primary, I've actually made a bit of a mistake there. The primary site is your bar and games, going into your secondary, which is kitchen, into your tertiary, either basement or top floor. So interesting to see that we're starting off on a bit of a comfortable ranked site as a general whole for both of these two teams. But let's talk about the bans as they come through. Hard breaches, once again, it makes sense for every single team that comes through. And the Habana and Ace, your 2 throwable hard breaching operators taken off the board quick and early. Mirror and Kaid, absolutely beautiful for hatches and for double connector hard breaching tools. I'm trying to remember exactly what the code is for it. Electrifying it all. Let's just call it that. But going into this match, I'm already seeing a few interesting picks. The Denari has made his appearance.
Definitely, as we do see what some in the community like to call a boxing arena. But for the first pick, coming by Cortari on a sneaky jump out kill onto Cass. That is your thermite off the board. That is your hard breacher gone. That is an impactful kill coming out by Cortari there again, showing us why she is a very lethal player in this game. As beautiful, beautiful plays coming in on the flanks there.
Well, immediately, perfect jump out coming out from Qatari. Starting off, picking up the most impactful operator that they need within this round. And that just means, well, in retrospect, what does it mean? It basically means that people have to start peeking. They have to start making their way through chokeholds, and that's going to cause so many problems for the side of 7 Raccoons, especially when you've got quite mechanically gifted players on the side of Rizard. They can win their ones, and that is a big problem for 7 Raccoons. Now drones begin to come through, a bit of intelligence making its way into the map. I'm loving the Brava pick coming straight in there, immediately identifying a lot of utility that has been placed down onto the board. And of course, now with those walls not being available, with them not being opened up, where do you use the Brava? Well, time to target a lot of the utility that isn't necessary against these walls. A lot of the intelligence utility as well. Keep your eye on that Valkyrie. That will be a major piece to get removed off nice and early. But Solarium looks like where we're going to be taking our attempted attack to. And surprisingly, there's no one really on the opposite side. So yeah. And that's the Fusel.
Ooh, that's also another big pick off the board. That's Barramundi, one of your top fraggers on your team, down and on the Twitch as well. As we did see, the Brava was a bit of the anti-intel on those cameras, but you've got your Twitch now gone as well to try and deny some extra stuff. Raju did a good spot, holding your angle, waited for the potential kill and found the kill there. Now it's on to where is the rest of this push going to go. You got Tycho and L trying to find an angle. You got Saw waiting for an opportunity to give her team a bit of extra hands as the defuser was picked back up by Kotari, finding another kill onto that main bedroom window. It's now a 2v5. You've got 30 seconds to do what you need to do here. And L is looking for a potential Solarium attack once more, as we do see it's going to be a close one, but no, Gasai finds the kill there. Beautiful play by 7 Raccoons, trying to find an angle, but Rizard's getting the defensive down pat. You got 10 seconds left. What are you going to do? Try and find a kill? Unable to.
Alright. A little bit of banter, a little bit of screwing around coming in from Rizard as a flawless round will come onto the board. And that's a beautiful start from them within this first section. Of course, for the side of Rizard, Qatari, calm down. You don't need to be jumping out and showing mass amounts of disrespect. We know that you're a good player, and thank you for showing us a little bit of funny moments. In saying that, though, we are on a common map. This is something that 7 Raccoons should have absolutely taken the time to go over, strategized, scrimmed, studied in the way that they play, and we should be expecting, well, I expect to see a little bit more coming out from them within these rounds. In saying that, though,
Attackers
7
need to locate and
Raccoons
defuse
had
as
a bit
many
of a
bombs
push.
as they
It was
can.
all centered around the Solarium side after losing their main hard breacher. There should always be some sort of contingency if that is the case, and a bit of pressure on the opposite side of the map is a necessity for sure. But in this case, it is going down to the primary site now. Bars and games. Rizard should be very comfortable jumping into this. Quickly though, as we continue, a little bit of stats for all of you. The attacker side has a 49 to 39% chance of winning. So it's not exactly 100% 50% on the dot, but it is a little bit, well, basically, it's a little bit more favorable to the defensive side. Not that favorable as a result.
Keep us secured.
Definitely, as now you were saying that the primary site is now becoming the secondary site for the team of Rizard here, as we are now going up to the bar gaming, and a very lethal push coming from underneath here as Kotari, she's trying to be the first point of contact, and I don't think they're aware that Fluff is there to back her up. This is now a full team push from underneath this bar gaming as drones are going out trying to find what they can. Kotari trying to get a drone to deny a bit more information, but Psycho does find a kill on Kotari, but takes a heavy amount of damage. Fluff waiting for the opportunity to strike. Doki is just above it, but won't try and push down. As Fluff, they trust her. Taking the ones, try and find a kill here. Is she going to find one, or is she going to find two? As the double swing comes out, and you've got a helping hand from Gasai on the stairs.
Well, it's a little bit of damage going back and forth, but we've got to remember this is Warden. It completely counters all of the flashbang potential, and it's just shots being fired left and right. Once again, say hello to the Warden that will absolutely counteract all of that fire extinguisher. A bit of the environmental map destruction, which won't be used in play. But for now, a bit of movement coming in. It's good damage, enough to drop 2 down. That's a massive issue for the side of 7 Raccoons. You know you can't push that point with the Warden position there up and ready. They will be able to find the kill, but is it optimum to continue making their way through this bottom side rather than making a bit of a rotation? We know the preparation for most teams is normally set up onto that top floor, covering the top side up above in library, but they may just decide to continue pushing through here. Sometimes it is useful, sometimes it causes problems. Cass manages to spot out one. It is going to be the Jaeger taken off the board, leaving 2 players remaining, but counter picks begin to come through. The sledge taken off the board, all the utility. And picks kind of picked up from 7 Raccoons suggests that they're going for a direct take upstairs, but not the way that they've decided to go through. Nitro Cell will go through. That will stop the flashbang. Nope, never mind. I take it back. The Ying flashbang manages to go through his long hallways. May spot Psycho all the way down at the end there. I don't believe that flash will be able to connect, but the diffuser will simply go down.
Definitely, as you are left in a 1v3 situation, even though all 3 players on Raccoons are on either half or lower health. As you do see one more of L's prone plays coming down, but Doki knows that, finds her, gets the kill, as the Grimbies are giving a lot of this information. Psycho and Simply, they just need to play safe, play the time of their diffuser. Doki, she's in a very tough spot, has to find one, find a second one, as a drone spots her out, gives the info to know that they're not going to swing, but simply misses the head. Doki just going to have to push for the defuse.
Will they expect the push to come through? They do. Doki manages to get at least a quarter off, but it's Psycho to answer straight back. Beautiful shots coming in there for round number 3 to come onto the board. So far, Rizard, they've gotten 1 round. Raccoons managed to get 1 straight back. Bar and Games looks like the optimal site once again, and that will be their choice for sure. In saying that, 7 Raccoons, a little bit of trouble once again from what we're seeing. There wasn't really presence elsewhere on the map, and I mean, Broken Mind, it's something that you need to see from all teams, especially when you're looking to gain as much territory as possible.
Definitely, pinch plays are the big thing that you need to have, because it allows you that chance to catch off one of the flank players. You can deny a lot of those flank pressures as well, and then it also opens it up for the other space of the other side of the map. You now have a lot more to take, a lot more to use to safely get to the sites that you want to get to. And overall, that wasn't really in the 7 Raccoons' mind, but they still got the plays done that they needed to. They found the kills. They got it done. Rizards, unfortunately, they couldn't give Fluff the support she needed to be able to secure that 3rd, maybe a 4th kill downstairs, but she did with what she could, and she did it well in what she had to do.
Oh, control is the main name of the game. The timer ticking down ever so slowly, and that's exactly what you want if you're on the defending side. But on the attacking side, it all comes down to the effectiveness of your defense and their defense, to be honest with you. Angles to cut off every single location is the name of the game, is the main section. And for now, Rizard is just going to sit back and wait for this potential push to come in from 7 Raccoons. Of course, they have the option to go down onto that bottom side. Doesn't look like that's going to be the idea. Time for a little bit of adaptability. Looks like they choose to go for control from the top floor. Library, that is your area to go. You've got really 2 different sections, 2 different ways that you can make a push in this game. You go through, well, correction, sorry, 3. We saw the first, which is downstairs. Your second is through Solarium, pushing the extension onto Blue Stairs, clearing that up. And of course, just direct pushing into Library, getting that control. But saying that, you need players settled on Mezzanine. You need players settled outside onto that blue stairwell, and perfect peek coming in for Qatari in that position. Almost gets caught out from multiple different angles, but manages to get away.
Definitely, as Fluff finds the kill onto Baron Money. That is your Ash off the board. And you got Qatari still sitting in a very lethal spot here. Unfortunate for L, doesn't quite get the spot, but Qatari takes advantage of it, finding the kill. Psycho in a good spot. You've got Cass trying to give a bit of a support to her team and find where Qatari is. She's just being a very sneaky, a very lethal sort of player here. But a lot of the pressure is coming down to that clock with a minute left.
Well, 60 seconds on the board. 2 big picks already up and available. And look at how much room has really been opened up. When we talk about the timer, it is a massive factor for these teams. Cass will manage to get a Nitro Cell on, not Nitrocell, my apologies, a Thermite charge onto the wall. Nitrocell still available for Fluff and has a lot of information for it to potentially be used. But look, no one's cleared out Mezzanine. There's still one player sitting up there and waiting for this push to come through. It's going to be covered from the opposite end. Diego will get shot down quite quickly as Psycho manages to get a bit of a push up, but it's enough for the drop away. Cass can confirm the kill, but with 13 seconds remaining, this is going to be like bullets going through the barrel of a gun. Everyone's going to need to try to push towards the site, but there's no diffuser. Simply Saw manages to pick it up last second, but they don't have access in towards the site. There's no time. Rizard manages to win round number 3.
Definitely a bit of a lack of execution there by 7 Raccoons. Didn't have the diffuser is one of the main things. You need that diffuser to start getting a plant down. The second one is to be able to be covered on your plants. As we did see, the first person goes down, the plant didn't go down, and you had 10 seconds before you did your execution. It's all down to time management for 7 Raccoons. A lot of it is that, but a lot of it is down to Rizard's attempts on taking that time. As we did see, Quatari, she was running back and forth, creating a lot of what ifs, who's there, are they there or not, and she did find a kill onto L, which was very, very impactful for the round.
Well, we go round number 4. Once again up onto the board, we start another little bit of a fight here between these two teams, and it's a great start from both of them as a general whole, but of course a 2-to-1 scenario where we're finding ourselves. The bans will come through. It is Ying to be taken off the board. We saw a little bit of Ying up in play from 7 Raccoons. That being taken off makes it a little bit easier for them and requires a little bit more utility to be used to move these players off of this position. What I'm surprised about so far is that we haven't really seen any shield operators in play. Considering meta, and as we know from a lot of people, meta is shields at the moment, and it has been shields for quite some time. Of course, the Blackbeard getting that complete rework and that change onto him quite a few seasons ago now is an impactful op, and with those nades can definitely remove players from certain positions. Where's the real answer here? For the side of 7 Raccoons, that's going to be the Grim. Of course, the Bees can move players off of the position and provide quite a decent chunk of intelligence when used correctly. I'm also loving that Rizard are putting players in positions where they can move at the very end of their regard, but the shield on the Warden, a shield available? Bit of a problem there. Kind of want to use all your utility before you get off site.
Well, you never know. Raju might have it for a later sort of a pressurized shield placement. If she's holding the defuser, you can place a shield on the defuser and sit on it if you wanted to, but that's just me. I would probably play that way. But unfortunately, they haven't used all of their util, as it is now 2 minutes left and not much space has been taken by 7 Raccoons. And Raju sitting in a very lethal spot, either rotating from underneath or can rotate over to the kitchen side itself. Gasai has taken a lot of damage early. A lot of damage early, and she finally gets taken out by Barramundi.
Beautiful start to the round for 7 Raccoons. Damage is being dealt straight back. Barramundi taking a decent chunk out of that health bar and leaving still 4 members for the side of Rizard on their avenue. It is a Solarium setup. Beautiful positions from all sides of the 7 Raccoons. And they can easily make their way up this Solarium side, potentially providing a plant opportunity. However, it does become a little bit difficult when you see all the positions that Rizard are taking. They're ready to make a move straight in towards the site. No Nitrocell available. That went down as the mute went down, but plant will be attempted and has the perfect cover. No attempt to counteract this plant. And that's a big problem for Rizard.
You do fight Fluff, getting a kill. Raju finding another one. It's now down to protect the defuser. Flash is going out, does find a kill onto Fluff. Kotari being taken down by Simply here. But the hold As we do say in the community, pros do not fake, and we saw no fake coming out of Docky there, securing the win with a ninja defuse.
Oh man, what a play, and we know it for sure. Every single game has one of them. If you ever have a bomb, if you ever have a diffuser inside of any game, you know the saying, as much as you said it. On the opposite side, it has to be pros do not fake. And I mean, which pro has ever faked?
Not many
Besides
that I know
Doki,
of.
a few rounds before. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in regards to this, it is Rizard picking up their third round, and they will go into
Attackers
the
need to
fifth
locate and
round
defuse
now,
as many
setting
bombs as they
themselves
can.
up once again. Interesting operator picks as well,
Attackers
as we
have
make
located a
our
bomb.
way onto the dining slash master side, with the extension, I should say, up into master. And surprisingly, shotgun is being brought out, but it doesn't really matter when you consider the operator that it's being brought on, the Soulless, making their appearance in the fold. And I mean, look, so far from what we've seen, it's been a pretty fascinating match. Rizard, they've been able to get a few rounds here and there, but Seven Raccoons are starting to get the vibe. We talked about this sort of setup with them. The longer that this game goes, the more that they will understand the opponent that they are going up against. Whereas on the side of Rizard, they seem to want to push rounds through quite quickly. Everything that they want to do is within the first two games. Preferably that the longer it goes, the more resilient that Seven Raccoons becomes, the harder it is for Rizard to really make an impact.
Definitely, as the top floor is now being extended into, you've got Docky on the Mozzie. That is a lot of intel denial with those drones not safely being able to find the angles they need to. But you've got Fluff sitting on the Solus. They're playing off of each other. You've got Kotari being a threat down the bottom floor on a roam. It comes down to where is your push going to be happening. Kotari being caught out by a drone. A lot of the rest of this team is looking for a top across. This is one of the best pushes you can go with. You push upstairs, take a lot of space, pull across to get your vertical play happening. But you've got a lot of threats coming through. You've got Docky and Fluff that you've got to make a lot of that push is coming into. But we'll see how it comes down to it. As Seven Raccoons, we were saying, they get more comfortable, they get more into a rhythm throughout this round.
You talk about having potential problems with hard breaches. This is a better round in terms of Seven Raccoons and their protection against those potential issues. Simply has the thermite charge up and available, but is also on the cover of Cass with the availability there. Nitro Cell will be sent out, manages to find one. Oh, it's a pickup and a half. Luckily, the thermite charge does go through, so not as big of a loss as was expected, but still, that wall being opened up does give a little bit of availability to move in towards the site. This site, this top floor, is massive. There's a reason why there's an extension up here. There is so much vertical attention that needs to be given and can be made. You don't really have a full plant opportunity, but we've seen this before. No glass being brought on the board, but Sen's still up and available, providing an option. That is a shot and a half with 40 seconds remaining on the board and all the Denari traps on that bottom floor. Seven Raccoons, this round is not looking hopeful.
Definitely not, but they still have a few players to put into their trick, but Kotari finding the kill back as she's still sitting in a lethal spot in that mud room. And she's still going to be a lethal player as the shield, late arrival of the shield to deny the bit of a push, but Cass finding a kill on the side. You've still got 2 to 3 other players to get through, and Raju finding the kill. Psycho finding another one, but you've still got a few more players to get through and a lot of time that you do not have as the diffuser is not in your hands.
Oh, it was absolutely beautiful coming in there from both teams. I mean, look, they had the control that they needed from the side of Seven Raccoons. They got that opening set, but they needed to clear that top floor side. You had Cass with the can openers up and available to get that top floor opened up. and the EMP grenades on the side of 7 Raccoons that they could have used to get that top wall opened up, but without it being open, it doesn't really allow for any sort of plant opportunity, and it was immediately capitalized on from Rizard. As far as I saw, that was a little bit of misplays here and there, but for the most part, Rizard just had the perfect positioning, and you got to give it to
Defenders,
Kotari,
protect
right?
your bombs from being
Every
defused
single
by
second that
attackers.
we see her in play, she's found some way around the others' defenses. Somehow she finds her way back behind everyone else and manages to get the kills in every single regard. It's absolutely beautiful from her, but now we go back to the primary site once again, extensions being put into play. And if you're on 7 Raccoons right now, Broken Mind, you have one position that worked out. Do you think it's really going to work again if you choose to take it back to them?
Well, with the threat of Fluff being on that warden again, I doubt they're going to have the confidence to go downstairs and push into that SMG-12. It's a phantom threat in itself. Just having that sort of player that you know, if they're sitting in a good spot, you're scared to push it because of how much damage they can deal, how much pressure they can put on to the opposing team.
Well, 2 minutes and 30 seconds onto the board. 7 Raccoons will need to find some sort of entry point on the opposite side of the map, and looks like Solarium will be their point of choice. So, get through Solarium, clear that top floor side. You have live drones up and available. The information should be there on exactly where that player is, but I don't think they've actually spotted the player sitting inside of closet. Once again, Qatari, look, I get you're able to do it once, I get you're able to do it twice, but 3 times in a row? Yeah, that should be what happens. Barramundi plays it perfectly and does send out a logic bomb, immediately identifying Qatari's position. That's going to put them on a little bit of the back foot in this current circumstance. In saying that, however, push-up will be made, and now you have a fight against the blue stairwell, who's got perfect footholds underneath that main wall. So, Cass, they will not and shouldn't be able to make their way straight towards that wall without cover from their teammates.
Definitely, as Docky is bringing a drone from the other side for her defenders to try and find info for themselves, as a lot of these default camps do get shot out, and a Mozzie, if you have a drone, does find. But Barramundi finding a kill on to Raju. That is your mezzanine player gone off the board. You can now focus on just taking that blue stairs and destroying either that shield or pushing all the way through library, as we've just seen. Taking a lot of that space, trying to find a kill. Doesn't quite find one onto Psycho, but a lot of damage goes out between them. It's now down to 45 seconds on your clock. 7 Raccoons, they're looking good. Barramundi did get down, but back up on her feet from a frost map from Qatari, still being a threat, even in death.
Well, the damage has been dealt and is there. Doki's going to take a little bit of damage as well. That's 2 players remaining for the side of Rizard, up against 5. That doesn't mean you can count them out, though. Maybe now it might be a little bit more difficult. 5v1 stuck inside a mudroom. A flawless answer coming in from 7 Raccoons. But we've seen this before. A 4-2 half scoreline. And now we switch defense to attack and attack to defense. Who is going to be able to win it when they make the switch up, as the first set of bans begin to come through?
Definitely. Rizards, they looked a bit on the back foot, and 7 Raccoons took advantage of it, getting a second round on their attacking, which is usually a pretty good thing, but you've now got to get through Rizard's attacks, as the first bans are the Bandit and Ace. Again, the Ace off the board. It's a big, impactful hard breacher for a lot of teams, but the Bandit being a pick off the board, this might be both of the anti-breachers coming out, as the Kaid Claws and the Bandit batteries might be the first things to go. Unfortunately, it's a mirror.
Look, I'll be honest, the mirror makes sense here. It's very hard to get the mirrors off the walls when they're in the right positions, and it's very tough to essentially push with how kind of enclosed this map is as a general whole. So it makes sense that the mirror is being taken off on Chalet. The thermite, look, I understand, as do I with the ace. Of course, the Habana could be a potential threat in this case, but I still remember the old chalet. Do you remember the old chalet
Attackers need to
back
locate
in the
and
day?
Yes.
defuse as many bombs
Yeah.
as
Oh,
they
it was a
can.
lot harder to get anything opened up and make your way really into the map when there was barely, I think it was what, maybe 5 rooms up on the top floor? Maybe
I
2
believe-
rooms.
Yeah, I think it was 2 rooms because you had the library itself and then you had the bedroom. That was about it. Those were the only 2 rooms upstairs, and you had only 1 entry into bedroom and 1 entry into the library. That was about it from your top floor, and then of course you had the stairs that led up to them. But it was a hard place to push in the old chalet, especially on the stairwells were the dangerous things.
Well, for now, it is a lockdown going into round number 7. Rizard will be making their entrance, making their way over to this side of the map as Raccoons will begin their preparation. And it looks like a little bit of the aggressive nature
Reload.
that Rizard started off their defensive side. They're kind of feeling like 7 Raccoons may have decided to go with the same sort of idea. But it doesn't look like that's going to be the play for now. Mezzanine still going to be held down by, I believe that is Barramundi, holding down Mezzanine in that position. Absolutely waiting for that potential push in towards the library side. Look, it's really useful to have a player in that position, but the longer that they stay there, the more likely they are to be pushed off of that position. At the same time, the Grim charge will go through, and that should be all the information that they need to look to potentially remove this player. Nade will go in. This should be a kill for Fluff, and it will be as Doki gets one on the opposite side.
Oh, a bit of unfortunate miss. I'd say missed droning for sometimes, but that one, it's on the cameras of the defenders. They didn't quite see that you had the flank from Fluff coming up onto your mezzanine hold, and then Psycho just getting picked off by the opposite angle of Doki. It's 2 lethal players off the board as well. That's your top frag, and another lethal player is now. Raju finds another kill. The Tubriel is going to slow down a lot of this breach opening. Is the best one.
Well, the breach will successfully be opened up. Cass, all by themselves, really simply Saw is fighting on the main wall, so she's got to be the one to deal with this piano player just sitting on the outside. Fluff is going to take a decent chunk of damage. The Thorn Mines going right up and through, causing quite a bit of damage to her, but it doesn't look like they were actually able to get this wall opened up at all. They have so much utility to get it open, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the option. So push onto different areas. Where do you push from here now? I take it back. The wall is opened up and plant opportunity is up and available. Plant will be attempted and begin to go down. 35 seconds will be taken off the board, replaced with 45. Katari finds the kill on the Cass. It's all down to one who's taking a lot of damage. The Fenrir also affecting themselves. Fluff will get down as a result, but a 4v1 is a hard ask for anybody. And Rizard will find their first attacking round.
Definitely giving them a very comfortable 5-2 lead on their first attack. Rizard looked comfortable with their overall breaching, the space taken, and Raccoons, they just couldn't find the one angle that Rizard were taking control of, and that was that fireplace stairs, as we did see Fluff forcing the grenade on to Barramundi, forcing her into the ACOG of her position of Fluff and getting killed. Not quite fun. Not quite fun.
Quite fun or not quite fun? Which one?
Not quite.
Which one
Not
is
quite
it?
fun. It's not quite fun for Barramundi getting killed there. It's always a tough space. You think you've got the cover, but then all of a sudden your teammate gets killed and then you're killed as well. It's never
And
fun.
then you're taken off the board and it becomes a very sad situation.
Definitely.
Well, coming into round number 8 now, as it looks like Rizard will be prepped on to, once again, the top floor kind of section.
Swapping
Especially,
maps.
actually, I take it back. They're prepped for the bottom floor. Looks like they don't really want to give that master bedroom a full chance just yet, rather than playing as, well, rather than what we saw from 7 Raccoons. They chose to go master as their main resource straight off the bat. I think I'm getting it somewhat confused between the two of the teams, but it doesn't really matter. In terms of this now, interesting operator lineup, and it's a very big, very questionable and kind of weird set. They both have operators that could push from both sides in retrospect, so I think we will see the main wall opened up in towards that B bomb site, but you've also got a perfect lineup if you're planning to make the potential push down onto the garage side. Very close there.
Yes, as we do see the usual C4 come out on a Maverick hole, but it's doing a good job by Gasai here, finding that wall, opening it up. May have found a bit of a section she didn't get before, but the wall finally fully opened up, and you've got the Ash ready to deploy. But that Cade Claw coming down, denying the Ash charge. That wall is still going to say soft. It's not going to be open. And Gasai comes over and finishes it off. Where is she?
Well, that's a little bit rough, I'll be honest, trying to get that wall opened up. Of course, the cave charges can cause quite a few issues if left up and available, and that's the reason that you have multiple different operators that can get those walls opened up. El will not send the last Kaid charge out and about, rather than the rest of the team making their entrances from different points or making their moves to different points. And for now, I mean, look, we've got one area opened up, a bit of pressure being placed onto that B bomb site. Then the control now becomes, can we get this middle floor control? Oh, Fluff manages to find a beautiful headshot, and that will be one player taken down straight away. The Snake making the problems even worse for the side of 7 Raccoons. One player is still going to be positioned inside a bar. Keep your eye on Psycho, who may be able to move at the end of time.
It definitely is. This is going to be a very crucial position for 7 Raccoons here, but that Snake operator finding out where they are and where they're looking doesn't quite get the flick onto it. Fluff shooting through the wall, couldn't find the back of Psycho, but Money finding a kill onto Katari. This is now going very south for the attackers as L finds another kill on Raiju, but you've got Fluff. She needs to potentially help her team, as you've still got actually Psycho sitting upstairs in a good spot for Money finding the kill on the Fluff. That is Snake gone.
Well, it's looking a lot better from the side of 7 Raccoons. Beautiful answer straight back onto the map. And it's exactly what you want to see. Psycho shows the kill cam. It's not the most amazing thing, apparently, from her point of view, but for now, a 5-3 moving into round number 9. First floor bar, first floor gaming room, a site that we know that 7 Raccoons had a little bit of trouble with, and with that bottom flight, wow. I'm really saying everything on the board today. Bottom site locked out. It does mean that once again, we will see an extension being placed upstairs onto library, onto mezzanine, onto blue to cancel off
Attackers
that
need to locate and
potential
defuse as many
assault
bombs
from the
as they can.
Solarian side.
Well, it's down to this round. Is it going to put Rizard on to their match point, or is it going to be 7 Raccoons closing that gap once more to give them a bit of a buffer zone, less stress in a way you could say, and you still got to go through a whole set of 5 players as we do see the first shield coming onto the attacking side of Rizard here. What shield is that?
I see a Blackbeard.
Yes.
BB making its entrance. Exactly what we want to see from these teams, that abusing the meta that is the name of it. Abuse the meta as much as you can. But it's good to see the Blackbeard making his entrance for the first time in both of our games, by the way. So his impact is definitely problematic when in the right hands. And of course, for the opposition team, they'll need to be very cautious about their approach. And there's no blitz up and available, so the Warden not really having a direct sort of counter. The only real problem that they may have is any of the flashbangs from Fluff and Qatari, and they've got the exact counter needed for them in this case. On the opposite side, it looks like we're going up into the bedroom and mezzanine master bedroom to be exact, as the rest of 7 Raccoons begin to get a little bit of a phone call. It's the opposite team calling. They want to know where you are at this stage. Jump-ins to be made. And, I mean, keep your eye on Gasai. May be able to find that player inside a mezzanine with the correct jump-in at the right time.
Definitely, but you have Barramundi still downstairs, still on a pretty lethal spot with that Soulless. You could potentially call out where these players are sitting on their drones, where the devices are going to be played, but they need to put pressure on this mezzanine player, or else this push is going to be a lot harder when you need to execute. You've still got 1 minute 30. You've got to do something, and it's got to be done now to give you the comfortability on that push. As Kasai finds the kill onto Simply Saw, that is the start to what they need to happen.
Biggest kill that they could get within this round has just been made, especially considering the fact that now that diffuser could just be moved into the right position. Perfect plays coming in as Raiju will be taken out, and that's a big problem for them. The Blitz, I was going to say Blitz, the Blackbeard taken off the board, control being given over, but as the timer begins to tick down, Rizard not really having a direct answer back for 7 Raccoons. They need to find a potential pushing point somewhere to cancel their play. But for now, Psycho can just sit straight back. It's all falling apart. There is no answer coming out from Rizard just yet. Jump in to be made, but they haven't checked the corner. Qatari is going to get caught. And this is where we start to see a comeback being formed. 7 Raccoons, they don't have the full advantage just yet. Doki decides to get a little bit aggressive. Finds 1, finds 2, but this is not done. It's Barramundi all by herself. Plant is available and attempted. Barramundi can hear it going down, but she's not in the right position to counteract this. Doki knows the position of Barramundi, plays it close, but won't find it.
Ouch. That's all I've got to say on that one is ouch. Very close. Almost had the shotgun pistol ready to whip up, but Barramundi, being the player that she is, was ready for the swing, and that P90 showing us that it is still one of the most lethal guns in this game here. As 7 Raccoons, they have now closed that gap once more on to Rizard here in a comfortable 5-4 lead.
That was way too close. Like, that was... Wow. Wow, you wouldn't expect that to be the result. Absolutely beautiful from both teams at this stage. And, I mean, look, that coming down to the very end like that, that deserved to be Doki's round, I'll be honest. 2 kills straight onto the board, managed to drop down 1, and then immediately leaving 1 final player in a rough position, in a rough hold as a general hold. So going into this, we continue it straight through. Man, a 5-4, an overtime on the books, up and available if they so decide and if they so choose. Rough situation, that's for sure. But for now, Rizard have 5 rounds. Raccoon have 7. I was kidding. They have 4. back and forth. I'm reading incorrectly. Oh god, what time is it? Not early enough. But
too many numbers.
Now, Too many numbers. Too many numbers up the top there. But for now, keep your eye on a few of the players around both sides. L, Barramundi, Psycho for 7 Raccoons, all getting close to that double-digit section and area. On the opposite side, Doki, Fluff, Raiju, and Katari all looking for that double-digit section.
Definitely, as this seems like a bit more comfortability and a bit more, as we said, of the 7 Raccoons getting into their groove as the game continues to go on. But a little bit of damage coming out onto Saw there. We're standing in a pretty bad spot. If you've got a Kotari, you know that she's going to be sitting on a long angle, or she's going to be hiding in a corner. And you've got her up in the tower, getting a long angle into the bedroom, waiting for any rotates that may happen from the bedroom into your Solarium side. It's a very dangerous spot for a player like Otari.
Well, it looks like we're going to see a bit of a move at this stage. 5-2-5 players still up and running, and they need to make a bit of a change up of the way that they're approaching at this stage. It looks like Rizard have 3 people set for the opposition side, set towards mezzanine, and of course Library putting a bit of problems to the side of 7 Raccoons. Of course, that Flores utility denial, utility removal, it is absolutely beautiful when you need it in its right position, and Cass will be taken off the board quite early. So Rizard not needing the timeout just yet. Will be able to secure the first, but now they've got to find a way to clear out the close section of this site. L's position is going to be well known from that top side, and it doesn't look like anyone's actually positioned underneath. This would be absolutely perfect for players to move down below and potentially open up that floor. There's no one really that has that soft breaching capability. Katari manages to find one onto Simply Saw. And at this stage, 7 Raccoons on a little bit of the back foot.
Yes, as we do see, there is no more C4 in hand, as the second one, I believe, was just shot out. But Fluff is trying to do a push, and you see Raju taking a bit of damage, almost finding the kill onto Barramundi there. Doki taking some damage here as well. It's coming down to their execution time with 30 seconds left. You've got L still in a crucial position with the shotgun in hand, ready to swing, as we do see Saw getting a kill with the Thorn Trap. L being taken down by Raju and Psycho, finding a kill back. 20 seconds left.
Well, plant can be attempted, and it will be placed down. 45 seconds onto the board. Let's get it started. Let's get it ticking as it slowly starts to become the attacker's 6th attacker instead of the defender's 6th defender. Barramundi manages to find one, but it's all down to Psycho, left by herself from the rest of the team. Quick peek comes through, but once again, Rizard, they've managed to do it once. They will continue to do it a second time. We go in to not just match point, but now series point.
What a crucial moment for Rizard there, finding the efforts coming to fruition on those angles, as we did see Kotari getting a lot of damage at the start, creating a bit of phantom pressure, but then afterwards she repositioned, found another kill, and then another kill after that, giving her team the upper hand. And unfortunate for 7 Raccoons, as you stated, they had nobody down for a potential flank, or even underneath with a C4, which would have really turned that round around. But that's just the way the game goes, and that's how you must play it.
Defused by attackers.
Unfortunately, as you mentioned, that is how it goes. Games like this all teeter on single mistakes. And that's how it comes down to whether or not you pick the right operators, whether or not you pick the right utility, or your players manage to get the kills, or your players are having a good day, or the mental is there, or the confidence is there, or the coordination is there. This game is so beautiful because it comes down to so many different aspects within it, and that's exactly what we like to see. The skill ceiling is so incredibly high, and that's exactly what we are starting to see, or we have seen so far I should say, within these matches. 7 Raccoons struggled a bit on Fortress. They're now struggling here on Chalet. Rizard has made their way all the way to the potential endpoint. And with 2 minutes and 40 seconds left on the board, there will need to be some sort of interaction, some sort of adaptation made on their roster. Or made from their players, I should say. Not made on their roster as much, but made from their players to find this round and continue their ability through this map.
Bomb diffuser has been dropped.
Now you do have Barramundi in a pretty good position over near that kitchen hall. Will she be able to use it to give her defenders a bit of an advantage? But again, you see this player on the top floor in Psycho. She's really become that sort of mezzanine player for her team, really creating a bit of pressure or even phantom pressure, because they think that somebody is still going to be sitting up there for a potential flank. And she does like to give a bit of a flank. Barramundi finally droned out. Location is known, but this long angle has been opened up by Gasai. Raju with the DMR waiting for it to get some kills to give the execution.
Well, it's a slow bit of movement coming down to it at this stage. They've been able to open up and gain a decent chunk of territory, but of course there is a few locations that need to be cleared. I do love the fact that they've immediately got kitchen control, and that is a big problem. Kitchen is your overarching look in towards the site. If you're able to get control of Blue Corridor, that should be just where it ends. Barramundi taking a lot of damage, but an LMG is what stands in their way. It's shots on every single angle, but 50 seconds remaining on the board. It's going to need to be a quick push coming in from Rizard.
Definitely, as it's now 50 seconds for the round. Butari rotating to give support to her team. The girls, they're stuck, wondering why is this wall not opening up, as finally the X-Carriers are being opened up to get a better angle onto that blue hole. But Barramundi finds the kill onto Qatari. This is a flank potential for her team. L sitting on a very good angle. Gasai finds the kill onto Simply Sword. This is now the time to go. Do you open the wall or do you just push through the door? Hope for the best, as we do see a push coming in. Cass, L finding kills. Here's a 2v3 now with Docky getting a swing back. 15 seconds left. You know somebody's sitting in the corner. As we do see a run coming in by Docky, finding a way all the way down the back. Nothing coming out on a kill, but for Gasai. Still cover her potential teammate, finding a kill onto Barramundi. It's a 2v1.
It has to be a wide swing. L needs to find one onto the cover of Gasai. It's Gasai versus L. 30 seconds remain. It's going to need to be a quick potential move from L. The decision is made. Diffuser is going to be used. It's faked off. Flashbang goes through. That will be the cover needed. No position seen. No waste in the utility usage. Rizard manages to kick it straight out on and straight out through. They win Chalet. They win Fortress. And they will continue at the top of the bracket. Or the top of the leaderboard, I should say.
Oof. What a very close last round there. 7 Raccoons, they did look strong after L turned it into a 1v1. But as we did see, you've got that last bit of util in use for Gasai there, making sure that she had it in pocket just to secure the round win for her girls. But both teams, they played really well on both maps, but Rizards, their wizardry was just too strong.
Yeah, look, there was so many different areas of absolutely beautiful coordination coming in from them. Operator lineups and utility usage working in their favor, especially when you looked at Fortress. It was an absolutely kind of dominating sort of section in the way that they played around with each other. They knew exactly how to coordinate off of each other's abilities, and that's what you want to see from teams in that regard. Going into Chalet, it was definitely a little bit more on the coordination standpoint. We saw phantom pressure being placed all over the map, a lot of exposure, a lot of territory gaining from their side, and that's exactly what you want to see from them. As far as I can tell, though, I have an MVP at least. these last two games, and it is going to be Raiju putting up the absolute numbers within both games, and has just shown that their capability on Fortress and on Chalet is not something that can really be turned off or turned down from.
Definitely. They played a crucial role in the Rizard roster, making sure that they were securing rounds, getting kills, applying the pressure where it was needed. But there's not too far away behind her, I'd say, would be a Kotari. Kotari was a very close there with the amount of kills and pressure she was providing. But overall, Rizards, they looked strong, they felt confident, and they took the wins where they needed to.
Well, in saying that, that has been the AWL Season 1, or at least one of the days of the AWL Season 1. This has been 7 Raccoons going up against Rizard. We will see you guys again very soon. Stay tuned, and we'll see you then. Peace.